Hey guys, it's Queen Cat with Hart-Felt Media, and welcome to The Face Behind the Brand, where we interview dope entrepreneurs. We definitely have a dope entrepreneur. This is Michele Slawon Tokpah. How are you doing today?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good.
Good.
Welcome, and thank you so much for honoring us with your presence.
Thank you for having me, honestly.
So let's just jump right into it. Here at Hart-Felt Media, we like to believe that once people know the why you do something, they're more inclined to support you, whether it's in business or whatever you decide to do in life. So Michele, let us know, what's your why?
Oh, my why, like the thing that drives me no matter what I'm doing, is making a positive impact. So I like to be a voice for the voiceless. I like to identify where the gaps are and kind of get into the weeds of where people may not want to go and really platform those voices and just help. That's it. I just want to serve.
That's amazing. So if you guys don't know, she's actually running for secretary for the
Mecklenburg County Democratic Party.
Mecklenburg County Democratic Party. I didn't want to mess it up.
Fine.
So how did you get into politics? Like, let's start from the beginning. Like, was this always what you wanted to do, or did you just kind of segue into it?
Yeah, so even though my minor was poli-sci, I don't even look at myself as a politician. I think kind of early on, my parents instilled in us the importance of serving and helping others. So growing up, like I was a Girl Scout and we go to nursing homes and help out. Then through high school, I joined JROTC, where we would organize blood drives on campus. Nice. And then when I got to college, that's when I helped on Obama's re-election campaign. That's when I was living in Virginia. And so from canvassing, phone banking, and everything in between, I was just really an integral part of that. And it just continued after school and wherever I moved to.
That's amazing. Alrighty, on the whole topic of politics, how do you feel like this past election really played on the minds of young people? Because I know a lot of people talk about, oh, I don't want to vote, especially when they're young, because they don't really feel like their voice is heard, or it's just kind of like no matter what you do, like the cards are going to fall wherever they fall. Yeah. So how do you plan on restoring the young people's trust in our political system?
Yeah, so a huge hurdle that we have to overcome is apathy, because like to your point, young people don't care enough to get engaged. And I think that stems from so many years of them not being represented at all. And another thing, like with my party in particular, it's like seeing that maybe we thought that the youth voter base or the younger voter base was a shoo-in, like they would definitely vote for these more progressive policies. But you can't expect that without doing the work to engage and to ensure that. So I think just making sure we're engaging, figuring out what's important to that demographic, platforming them, making sure that they understand the severity of the moment is going to be really important. And that we restore trust, because people look at politicians as like these like shady people. And I mean, some of them are, but just kind of restoring trust. And how do we do that? Just being transparent, communicating, engaging, just letting them know like what exactly the political process looks like and why they matter.
That's amazing. That is so amazing. So what difference do you think you can make in this political environment?
Yeah, so honestly, I'm serving as the county party secretary. I'm looking to serve as the county party secretary. So my role is going to largely be record keeping. So it's mostly internal comms and organizational kind of role, just making sure that we're accurate with our records, which helps us eliminate waste, and so that we're not engaging in any fraud or abuse, like with the donor funds that we're collecting. It's going to help us be more transparent with where all of our resources are going, because a lot of people just don't know. They see, oh, this party raised like $1 billion. Like, what are you doing with the funds? And even with the accuracy and record keeping and transparency, we'll be able to make sure that we are focusing our efforts on things that actually matter and that are going to help us grow organically and sustainably. And then that helps us make sure everybody's represented, because if we are going into all the communities and engaging with everybody and not just places where we're comfortable or we feel like we're automatically going to win, then other people's voices are heard. We're platforming others and not just people we're comfortable with. And all those three things are going to yield that organic, sustainable growth. So people don't look at us as the party that's just fighting against the Republicans when they win, but we're consistently engaged, not just when it's time for like a major election, but like all throughout the year and the days in between.
That's amazing. So how do you feel like the gap with local government and immigrants can be merged?
Yeah, so I think it's really the responsibility of the government to go seek out those underrepresented communities and engage with them more often. For the topic of immigration, I know we focus heavily on the Latino communities, which is fine, but there are so many other pockets that are being impacted by this issue too. So it's just more about government being intentional, but also those of us who are engaging with government more frequently to educate our communities about how they can get involved and kind of building that desire within them to kind of want to do more.
That's amazing. So since we're on that, we're both Liberians. So what do you think we can do as Liberians to actually bridge that gap, with the local government and the Liberian community?
Yeah, so in the Liberian Association, I think more of us need to get involved and volunteer. I know I've served in some leadership positions, headed some committees there. And just this past November, as an example, I and some other members, we hosted a civic engagement event geared towards that education and that outreach. And so people really understand, again, the severity of this moment, what their options are. And there were a lot of great guests and speakers and panelists that were able to attend. And so just those of us who know and those of us who can and are willing, just continuing to do more of that work on a larger scale will kind of trickle down to everybody else. But we have to be consistent as well. So it's not just about voting for presidents. It's how does your local government work? Who do you need to contact? And being visible too, because if you're not visible, they don't care. Yeah,
that makes sense. So you recently got married. Congratulations. You're welcome. So how has your family supported you and motivated you through this whole transition?
Oh, they're awesome. Honestly, my husband, he's very much into politics and policy, and he's been doing that for a long time. Like, we have a little age gap, so he has a lot of experience there. And certainly he's the chair of our precinct where we live. So it's not new to him. When I said, hey, I think I should do this, he's very much a staunch supporter, and not just verbally, but in every single way. Like, if I can't make it to a meeting or anything like that, he's there handing out my literature. So he's great. Yeah. And the girls love it too. Our youngest is 7, and she will put on her blazer and she'll get out there and hand out stuff too. So they've been really supportive.
That is amazing. That is so amazing. So do you have any plans on mentoring? Because this is a new area you're entering, and there's a lot of, younger Liberian women or girls that might want to know how they can get into politics. Do you plan on mentoring any young people or, teenagers?
Honestly, I see myself as an open book. Like, if anybody wants to engage, I'm open. And not formalizing like a mentorship, I hadn't considered that, but I'm always willingly sharing resources that I have. Like, I don't gatekeep anything.
That's amazing.
And then, I don't see the need, because like there's strength in numbers and partnership. And like for the next generation, I really do focus on them. Like, we have teens and preteens, and there's so many things that they can get involved in even before they're old enough to vote. So kind of just sharing what's going on there and getting our kids involved. That's what I'm doing now. But I'm open.
That's amazing. So I know one of the values that you're running on is transparency and representation. So why are those your main priorities?
So I'll start with transparency. People don't trust politicians. They don't trust the government. They don't trust what's going on. And you hear a lot of that rhetoric coming from the ultra conservative faction that's ruling right now. Whether it's true or not, those sentiments resonated with enough people for the election outcomes to be what they were. So I'm really big on sharing exactly what the party is doing, because a lot of great things were done and are continuing to be done, but it's just like, how are we communicating those results? And how are we combating this narrative that we sit around and wait to fight those who are actively doing stuff? Because if we're just reactionary, if that's how we're perceived, then that's never going to go over well. So just share, we're getting money. What are we doing with it? Where are we spending our efforts? And I think people will begin to trust again and want to be involved.
That's amazing.
Representation.
Representation. What is what?
Well, I think like just you cannot advocate for any people group if you're on the periphery. Like you have to get engaged, you have to get in the weeds, you have to talk to people who are actually going through these lived experiences. Your knowledge and theory, that's never going to be enough. And so how do we connect with everybody instead of making it seem like we're the mouthpiece for those who do have a voice? Platform them. Like that's how what leadership looks like to me. Just giving others a seat and a space to be seen, to be heard and represented, and not taking all the glory for yourself.
That's really great. So let's jump into a little more personal, not too much. Let's talk about your new business. I know you started a new business venture called Tokpah Global. Tell the people exactly what it is.
So honestly, I'll say I'm new to the business, but it's my husband's business that he started in 2018.
Okay.
So he does consulting, capacity building, project management for social impact businesses, nonprofits, public sector. That's the area he's in.
Okay.
And so since I was already doing communications work and I was gearing more towards that sector or those type of clients anyway, I just hired myself. And so I've been working with him since we got married, so 2023. And like I focus on like organizational development and effectiveness, just kind of streamlining processes. So whatever the goals of those entities are, we can optimize and help them reach them, and then build their workforce so that they're equipped with the skills that are needed to accomplish whatever their aims are.
That's amazing. That sounds super interesting. So I know we go way back to modeling days. We used to model together. That's how we met. So when and how did you make that transition? Because I know I'm not the only one that's wondering, one minute you're like a model in New York and, doing all these runways and all these campaigns. And the next minute you were like a corporate body. Oh, tell us about the transition and how you did it.
Honestly, I love that chapter of my life because I believe I can do anything. If I'm always telling people you can do anything, I need to embody and believe that too. And I strongly do. And so that helped me with my confidence a lot, just forcing myself to be in front of tons of people, being in front of like lights and cameras. But ultimately, I wasn't completely fulfilled because I'm like, I'm not just a hanger. There's more work that I should be doing. And I know I shared with you a bit about my background. Like I've always understood the importance of service. And so I couldn't just run away from that. Like whatever you're called to do, it's going to continue to tug at your heartstrings until you return to it. So after a while, I just took a break from everything and just try to figure out, like, let me recalibrate and focus on what really matters. I appreciate the season for what it brought me and all the amazing people that I met, including you. But I knew that wasn't all to my story. And so that's how I kind of got back into the swing.
That's great. Yeah. So I'm going to dig in a little bit more.
Okay.
Can we get step by step?
All right. I mean, step one, just what do you care about? I sit in seclusion at least once a year for at minimum 21 days and really think about my life and what I'm doing and if I'm doing things from the right place and just kind of jotting down what's important. Certain general themes consistently come up in my journaling and stuff. And so I'm like, okay, how do I get back there? So step one is figure out what you care about. Like not what the world tells you to care about, not what people are giving you likes or props for, but really like what matters to you. And that's the first thing that I did. I'm like, I care about people who don't have a voice, because I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like to be silent because you feel like you are forced to be. And I never want anybody else to feel like that. And so if that's what's important to me, like, how do I get back in that? Number one, just volunteer. That's the easiest thing. Figure out what exists that you can just volunteer. Like right now I serve on the NAACP Education Committee. I'm a member of the Black Political Caucus, African American Caucus. They're different. And just whatever, just putting my hands in things that are gonna yield like a positive impact in other people's lives. And then from there, everything will flow. So for this role, candidacy specifically, just by getting engaged with the Liberian community and hosting that event, I was able to meet the former executive director for the party. And she connected me with who I needed to know to give me the ins and outs of what do you need to do to run for this seat specifically. I was able to even have a conversation with the last person that held it and see, where they stood and the ins and outs there. And I think it's just, once you are intentional about doing, everything else just starts to fall in line. But that was the first step. I hope that was detailed enough. But there was no plan. It's just kind of like, this is the feeling. I'm just going to go. And then everything else just started to fall into place.
That's amazing. Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong. You used to be an introvert.
I still am an introvert.
I feel like you and I are like introverted extroverts.
Yeah.
we don't really like to do all this, but because like you said earlier, that's your passion. Yeah. So it's gonna tug at you. Yeah. So you kind of gotta be like an extrovert. I'm leading somewhere. Let's talk about networking,
Okay.
How did being an introvert, how did you get out of your shell, number one?
Yeah.
And are you still nervous about networking? And what is the importance of networking?
Yeah, so networking is very important because yes, I am an introvert, but it doesn't matter how many books I read and how much I write about it. Like if I'm not actively engaging, I'm not going to be as effective. And so realizing that, it was a hard pill at first, but now it's kind of natural because professionally I was working in learning and development. So being a trainer, I'm like on all day. Like I'm talking to people, I'm explaining, I'm standing in front of crowds like increasingly larger. And so at first it's uncomfortable, but the more you do it, it just becomes a part of you. I'm not saying I don't need my times to recharge, but like where I am now, who I am now, you've known me for a while. It's like I've made a shift, and modeling did help. Like I said, just getting over the fear of being seen and being in the front. I mean, you could fall, you could twist your ankle, but like the more that you just put yourself out there, it helps in so many other ways.
That is super amazing.
But you do need people. There's nothing that you would want to achieve that you can do alone. Like nobody lives in a silo or on an island. Like we all need each other in a way. So yeah, it's just break through that. And then the more you do it, it becomes easier.
That's some great advice, guys. So to wrap this all up, tell us what's next. Other than your candidacy, tell us what else are you doing?
Yeah, honestly, the candidacy is just a small part of what I have going on, but it's a huge deal because it's so needed. In this county alone, like a third of the largest voting bloc is not Republican or Democrat, it's unaffiliated voters. So there's a huge group of people here that in the largest county in the state don't know who to trust or what to believe in. And I think, again, with the accuracy, transparency, and representation, that'll really help a lot. And so I just wanted to throw my hat and do something not for vanity, but something where I have the skill set to really achieve. And so, I mean, we'll see how the vote is on April 26th. So we'll see the outcome then. But even if not, I'm on the precinct task force where we're organizing these communities that are not organized, or just making sure everybody has what they need to organize. And then I'm also a child advocate. So with the Mecklenburg County Court, there's a program called Guardian Ad Litem that I signed up to volunteer for, just making sure children are being placed, their custody decisions are being influenced by someone, a third party like myself, who just has their best interests at heart, making sure that they're heard too. And there's just so much other things, like wherever the need is, that's where I'm going to be. Never going to overextend myself, but I'm going to be intentional about where I help so that I can actually make an impact and not just say I'm there.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So let's get people interested in voting. Like, how can they vote? You said the election is April
26th.
Okay, so what do you need to vote? How can you vote? Where can you vote?
So it's a party position. It's a party leadership position. So the people who can vote are called the county election committee. So in order to be on that, you have to get involved with your precinct.
Okay.
This week and next, people are electing their chair, vice chair, and secretary for their precincts. My husband just got elected as chair for ours. And then you can also, if you don't want an official leadership position, be chosen as a delegate, where you can represent, and all of y'all will decide who you want the county party leadership to be. And that's step one, because I mean, that's who's managing the resources and deciding the strategy here. I believe if we could have gotten a greater voter turnout in this county, being as big as it is, maybe we could have flipped the state blue again. But yeah, that's how you get involved. Start with your precinct. And then in the future, if there's because I'm not running for like a county commissioner or representative at this time, we'll see. But that's how you can get involved with this particular election.
That is amazing. So how can people reach you? Can you let them know your socials?
You can go to my website because everything is linked there. So that's www.michelletokpah.com. Okay, Michelle with one L. Tokpah is TOKPAH.com. And my Instagram's linked there, my YouTube and my LinkedIn, preferred places. But you can also search my name because it's the same name consistently everywhere, just for ease of access.
I want to thank you so much. This was so impactful. And I feel like this is so needed. Like, this representation, like, okay, when people see, okay, Michelle's running for government, maybe I could do something in my, you want to be more involved in your community so you don't feel so helpless when the big elections come, because they start off little.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I just want to thank you so much for, honoring us with your presence. And make sure you guys get involved in your government, learn more about Michelle, and share the flyer. It's not going to take anything to share the flyer and get involved. All right, guys, this is our episode of Hart-Felt Media Presents The Face Behind the Brand. We definitely interviewed a dope entrepreneur by the name of Michele Slawon Tokpah. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. People know the why you do something, they're more inclined to support you, whether it's in business or whatever you decide to do in life. Let us know what's your why.
Parents instilled in us the importance of serving and helping others.
How do you feel like this past election really played on the minds of young people?
Young people don't care enough to get engaged. People look at politicians as these shady people, and I mean, some of them are.
How do you feel like the gap with local government and immigrants can be merged?
I think it's really the responsibility of the government. So in the Liberian Association, I think more of us need to get involved and volunteer.